now looks like it is entering a record, 35th day, Ben. To give us the latest here and whether there's any chance of it ending.
Yeah, so we are, as you mentioned, we are in day 35, which does tie us for the longest shutdown in U.S. history. It's actually since the last one, as you can see on your screen there, 35 days in December of 2018, 35 days now. But there are some signs of talks that are beginning to bear fruit here. Senate Majority Leader John Thune talked to reporters yesterday about a possible off-ramp here for talks, for the shutdown, focused on lower-level talks among senators that haven't reached the leader level yet, but appear to be bearing fruit. The outline of a deal here apparently is some combination of reopening the government, a vote for a date certain on Obamacare subsidies, which is the heart of the Democratic, the reason the Democrats are focused on this, and then also potentially some appropriations bills that would make at least a future shutdown, which still could be on the table as soon as next month, even if this deal goes through, a partial shutdown as opposed to full shutdown. So it would blunt some of those effects. This is all very tentative, of course. These are very complex issues and very tough politics, I'd add as well, to get this through. But there does seem to be progress towards this as lawmakers really are feeling the bite. You mentioned this at the top of the show. All these economic effects that really are starting to pile up. Last weekend was the worst one yet at airports in terms of flight delays caused by this shutdown. We've also seen food benefits, which 1 in 8 Americans rely on, partial payments at best for Americans if this shutdown continues. Overall, this is going to take days to play out, so we're very strong expectation here in Washington. We're going to get to day 36, and we're going to break the record for the longest all time. But the focus here is on the end of the week, when the Senate is scheduled to head out for a recess, so that tends to focus lawmakers' mind on whether they can at least do a stopgap to end this shutdown, even if it doesn't take it off the table for end of this year, early next year, depending on a lot of the details that are still to be worked out.
Well, and in a coincidence, I guess, or, we've got this big week for politics because you have that happening. You have a Supreme Court case happening, which we'll get to in a second. And we have an election today also, Ben. Yeah. And what should we be watching in those, or I shouldn't say we have an election, we have elections because it's a number of state contests.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see, I bring together both this Supreme Court case on tariffs and these elections as I think we're going to see there's going to be a lot of consequences for what Trump's political landscape for his economic agenda over the next year are. On tariffs, this is a Supreme Court case that will decide whether the lion's share of Trump's tariffs are legal. So that has major implications. What we're going to get tomorrow is arguments. So we're going to see the mood of the justices on this, but not a final decision. And on elections, what we're going to see is whether kind of the moderate side of the Democratic Party is ascendant or the more progressive side of it. We have a moderate candidates in Virginia and New Jersey who have had a tougher time, but they're still expected to win, perhaps narrowly in some cases. And obviously in New York, we have Zohran Mamdani. The margins there are going to matter. If the moderates overperform in Virginia and Mamdani underperforms, that's really telling about kind of what the shape of the Democrats are for the next year, as well as what the political reality will be for Trump, both on tariffs, but on his larger economic agenda on all these various fronts that we're talking about up for the next year, up until the next midterm elections, which are about exactly 1 year's time.